Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Uneducated Philosopher. Today's segment, I'd like to kind of get into talk about the difference between intelligence and cleverness. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up is the other night I attended a symposium from there are these different groups that you can find on the internet, intellectuals in the city, and they host these groups. They get together and they have intelligent conversations and whatnot, and anyone is welcome to join. And that's it's it's a good thing. You meet a lot of interesting people and you meet a lot of intelligent people, and then you also meet a lot of people that appear to be intelligent. Now, they're definitely clever in a lot of ways, but they use their cleverness in a very coercive manner, um, to make themselves appear intelligent for whatever reasons they have. Um, for example, the other day when I was at this symposium, there were a whole bunch of different groups there, and I noticed there was this one person there, and he was more or less trying to make himself appear very intelligent to basically attract a group of females to him. And I mean, if that's what you're into or whatever, I would never get in the way of that. And I'm not a blocker in any way. And I if it works for you, hey, go ahead and do it, right? But as I was sitting there and I was listening to this person talk, like he played a really good game, and you could tell that he was very clever, and that he had the right words, and he knew a little bit about something, but he wasn't quite exactly what he was trying to make himself out to be. And I had like some sort of, I don't know if you want to call it an epiphany, but I kind of had this realization when I was sitting there and I was watching, people gathered around this person and he was talking. And I kind of said to myself, like, is this person intelligent or is he just clever? You know? And I believe that there's no such thing as stupid. I believe that we can all learn something from somebody. Everybody. Everybody has something that they can teach everybody. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody knows everything. And I think as long as you have a healthy, functioning brain, there's something that I can learn from you, and there's something that you can learn from me through experiences, knowledge, what have you. And I came to this realization the other day when I was listening to this person talk, and I kind of just sat there and I was listening to his information, and I kind of said to myself, like, okay, I don't want to make this person look bad, but I want to find out for myself whether this person is as intelligent as he's trying to make himself out to be, or if he's just clever and he's putting on some sort of a ruse to just try to attract women to him. And if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. I mean, that's up to them, the women that he's trying to attract. That's up to them to decipher his bullshit and be beyond that. That's not up to me to, unfold his coercive secret manner. But I wanted to know for myself. So I sat there a little bit and I was listening to him talk back and forth, and I kind of just sat there and I was gaining information in my head. And I came to the realization that a lot of people, they'll use big words, they'll talk in certain ways, and they'll regurgitate a lot of bullshit that they hear. But if you pay attention to certain little details, you can tell that they don't really know what they're talking about. They just kind of pretend to know what they're talking about. So it's like almost like the difference between using empirical knowledge against interpretive knowledge, which would be we all have our own interpretations of what certain things are when it comes to knowledge. So if I read something, I have my own interpretation of it, and I regurgitate it and teach it to you, but that might not necessarily make it so. It might not be exactly proper or 100% correct. So quickly, I would like to read over a quick little paragraph that I have in this book. It's The Conceptions of Science, Social Science. And there's a section in here, just a small section of the 4th chapter, empirical versus interpretive approaches to understanding. Now, it reads something like this. In an insightful essay entitled Peaceful Coexistence in Psychology, Charles Taylor distinguishes between two broad approaches to understanding in psychology that are applicable to the social sciences in general. The first approach focuses on brute data, and Taylor calls it the practitioner's correlators. This approach is driven by the aim of univocal intersubjective agreement and has 3 key components. Reliance on brute data, that is, data that are available to the scientists without the need of any interpretation. Reliance on operations carried out on the data that are also interpretation free or admit of only one meaning. And physicalism, that is, physical parameters and variables are the appropriate candidates for brute data. Evaluative judgments that depend on someone's viewpoints or interpretation are never beyond interpretive dispute and cannot meet the first 2 criteria. Hence, they cannot serve as appropriative scientific data on this approach. Correlators generally are searching for universal laws of human behavior, following particular methodologies, and hold a particular epistemology. Now, I just wanted to read a small part of this chapter. I mean, it goes on and on for a bunch of pages. I don't want to waste your time. But basically what I'm trying to prove here, not really prove, but what I'm just trying to say is that there are facts, proof on an argument you're trying to make, and then there is your interpretation, which basically, if you read most English essays, bullshit. I mean, to write an English essay is almost the easiest thing in the world. You don't have to be an English you don't have to be a master and have an English degree to write an essay. I mean, it's, you have a few points that you want to put out there, and the rest of it is just a bunch of jargon, a bunch of bullshit that you just filler that you throw in there. I mean, anyone that knows how to write a proper essay would most certainly agree with me to a certain point. I mean, everyone has their own opinions, of course. But going back to when I was at this symposium and I was talking to this person after he was drawing a crowd, and I kind of pulled him aside, and he was it was a long subject, so I don't really want to get into it too much, but he was basically making this point and everybody was all, impressed with what he was saying. And I basically pulled him aside and I asked him the same question about 4 or 5 different times. So what I was doing is I was asking him the same question expecting to get the same answer, but I was doing it a few different ways. And every time I was getting a different answer from the guy, which told me that he really didn't know what he was talking about. Because if he did, after he gave me the first answer, the second answer, and they were the same, and I kept asking him the same question but in different ways, if he really knew how I was talking and what I was saying, he would have just looked at me and been like, well, dude, you're basically asking me the same thing but in a different way. But he couldn't catch on to that. And the reason why he couldn't catch on to that was because he was being deceptive. He was using cleverness in a coercive manner. And it made me come to this realization that a lot of people do this. A lot of people aren't as intelligent as they seem. They appear to be intelligent. They're clever. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, we are who we are as individuals. We're people. We live, and we all have things that we can teach everybody. But there are large groups of people out there that try to impress people with this high level of intelligence that simply clearly is not there. And I just wanted to bring that up a little bit, and I just wanted to say that watch out for these people. Watch out for these people that claim to be super intelligent and have all these smart and fancy things to tell you. And yet, the intelligence, the empirical data just isn't there. And an easy way to bust these people is just ask them the same question 4 or 5 different ways and see what answers they come up with. If you're expecting the same answer and they come up with different answers, and it's obvious that they don't know what you're asking them. And if they don't know what you're asking them, then they really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about in this segment. The website, as always, is growing, and I appreciate everybody's support. If there's any questions or comments or any subjects that you'd like to bring up, you can contact me at robbie@un-educatedphilosopher.com. And please support, please share, and I appreciate all the love from everybody. And take care. Cheers.